He goes, God, you're jacked. You're fat, dude. He goes, well, you're better. Me and you got to hit the track because we lived up the block from Holy Trinity High School and they had the track. Nick, I kind of like laughed. I closed the door. Steve Flanagan me up. But the way he looked at me shamed me. I felt shameful. I went on a diet after that. And that was the first time, 6 months later, I had gotten shredded.
Being overweight is not saying you're a terrible person. Being overweight is saying you have a problem that you need to work on. And we want people to be healthy. We want people to live active, fun, exciting lives. And your life is going to be better. You're going to feel better. Your health is going to be better if you lose that excess weight. Mike, we're back. How the hell are you?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
I'm great. I want to do an episode today about the hidden cost of all the excess body fat that people have on their bodies. Because you walk around and, honestly, in New York, you see kind of two kinds of people. You see people who work out a lot and they look like they're in super shape. And then you see people who are trending in a bad direction. Whether it's 10, 20, 30 pounds or more. People have a lot of excess body fat on their bodies. And I'm thinking to myself, do they even know what the cost of holding on to those Oreo cookies around their waist is going to be? I don't think they do.
No. And look, we need to do 2 videos, Nick. The psychological, the mindset, and what it can do to your brain and your confidence and all of that. And that's a different topic. But today, I think you talked about we should do the health cost and how it could actually end someone's life decades too soon. So yeah, but people are walking around, and I think we've talked about this off camera a lot of times, Nick, the body positivity bullshit that was happening there for a while, right? I walked through the mall with my wife and Victoria's Secret. I don't know who's running the show over there, Nick. They had these big fat women as models. And I'm not here, fat shaming. It's not about shaming anybody. It's about big is beautiful. Okay. And some people like me, Nick, I like curvy. My Mrs. Lynch got nice curves. It's not about being, maybe people don't remember this name, Nick. We're going to age ourselves here. I'm going to age
Twiggy?
Well, Twiggy, or who is the
Kate Moss.
Kate Moss. Pin straight, like no curves at all.
Because that can also be unhealthy.
That's very unhealthy because I don't know Kate, but I'm thinking she was starving. And that's got its problems as well. But extra body fat, Nick, not muscle, curved muscle, it's deadly. It's deadly. And in the last couple of years, it's been pushed not to be abrasive or whatever you want to call it. But we're here to set the record straight, Nick, that body fat in excess, and that can just be as little as 10 pounds, Nick, can cause a myriad of problems, including now studies are showing more and more cancers.
Right. Your worth as a person does not depend on your weight. If you're a good person, it's because you do good things. It's because you help people. It's because you're nice. It's because you do acts of service for people in your family and your friends, and you're out there making the world a better place, smiling at people, saying nice things, doing things, good things to good people, right? And you can do that and be skinny or be fat. It has nothing to do with being overweight is not saying you're a terrible person. Being overweight is saying you have a problem that you need to work on. And we want people to be healthy. We want people to live active, fun, exciting lives. And your life is going to be better. You're going to feel better. Your health is going to be better if you lose that excess weight.
Right. See, Nick says it much better than I ever could. You're either a piece of shit or you're a good person, right? Black or white, right? Fast or slow, sad or happy. We want you to be a good person and live till 100, right, Nick?
101.
We don't want you to be big as beautiful and dead at 50. Having a stroke where your face is dismembered, or that you're an orthopedic mess and you need 2 hip surgeries and a fake knee, or you're diabetic and you got to shoot a needle every time you eat a food and track your blood sugar. Excess body fat is fucking deadly. End of story. Whoever said it's not is lying to you. Right, Nick?
It's true. It's true.
Let's set them straight today, Nick.
Yeah.
Let's do it, man.
There are two different kinds of body fat, and I want people to know the difference. There's subcutaneous body fat and there's visceral body fat. Can you just explain those two for us?
Both are not healthy. However, the type of body fat that jiggles and you can pinch is subcutaneous. That's in between your skin and the muscle mass. Unsightly, not extremely deadly, and you need a little bit for fat-soluble vitamins, and we need some body fat. Not everybody should be 2% body fat because that's unhealthy as well. Then we have what's called visceral fat or brown fat, and that's hard, dense fat that's in between the organs. And a lot of times, I mean, I don't know, people are drinking beer like they used to when we were kids, Nick, but there was a lot of that term, the beer belly, right? And I know some guys that they would have these big fat fucking bellies, but they were hard. And they would proudly hit on their stomach and they'd say, yeah, I'm fat, but it's hard. Yeah, it's hard because it's brown visceral fat. It's very hard to lose. It's making you diabetic. And it's actually one of the number one reasons why people have strokes, heart attacks, diabetes, lose limbs. It's this hard fat that's in between the organs. So they're both unhealthy, but the subcutaneous, Nick, it's just stuff that we don't like visually, a little bit unhealthy, can definitely hurt your knees and hips and feet.
Because the extra weight affects the knees and the hips and the joints in that way. So any extra pounds in that way are going to affect the joints.
Absolutely. So visibly, it's a nightmare.
Right.
Orthopedically, it's not friendly, especially below the waist.
Sure.
Not as deadly, Nick. The visceral fat, the other one that you spoke about, deadly as.
Are we getting those in different ways? Why would some fat be visceral and some fat be subcutaneous?
So that's a great question. Nick is the master of great questions. Okay. Nick, I think that it all comes from the same place. So it's abundant. We're over consuming calories and we're over consuming processed foods. Now, if you have a lot of visceral fat, Nick, the hard fat that's in the organs, this is definitely, I don't think there's anybody that would leave a comment that will disagree with us. This is a clear indication that you're either over consuming sugar, processed carbohydrates, maybe too much booze, right? Because alcoholics get a lot of visceral fat. So it's a product of, or it's a case of over producing insulin from too much processed carbohydrates, lots of saturated fat. And that's the way this body fat can really start to accumulate in the body.
And the visceral fat can actually interfere with the insulin, right?
Oh yeah, it makes you insulin resistant. So basically when we eat food, especially carbohydrates, our blood sugar goes up, our pancreas makes insulin to bring that blood sugar back down to baseline and put the nutrients into the cells, hopefully the muscle cells. When you have a lot of visceral fat, your body kind of becomes resistant to that insulin, like it's noise it can't hear anymore. So your body produces more and more insulin. And what does more and more insulin do? It gets you hungry, it gets you inflamed, it gets you sick, fat, and diseased. So it's a vicious cycle. More visceral fat, more hunger, more processed foods. It's a death sentence. A death sentence. End of story. Big is not beautiful. Big is deadly. And when we talk about big, Nick, we're talking about big amount of body fat. We're not talking about, some people are just heavy. They have big bones. They have a lot of muscle mass. It's not about everybody being real thin.
Right.
It's about having low adiposity, i.e. body fat. Not bodybuilding ripped, just a healthy amount of body fat. And we'll talk about those percentages.
Do both kinds of fat affect your cardiovascular system as well?
There's these body charts, right? And a good body chart for what's called the ideal body weight will have ranges. Because some people will say, I'm big boned. That's called, i.e., I'm fat, right? I come from a bunch of fat people. Now, some people do have thicker bones. We can actually talk about the wrist test that I do with people.
Oh, there's a wrist test?
Yeah.
Hit me with it. What is
All right. So take your middle finger,
Yeah.
right? Your thumb.
Okay.
And you put it around the top of your wrist.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you can hone in on that, Nick. Well, let me see what you got there, buddy. Yeah. So you're a medium frame. Okay. So if you're a large frame, because
you're never going to have fat on the wrist. Is this why this is a good test?
Well, if you have fat on the wrist, that's called
That's like bloating almost. That could be water weight or something.
that's called, see, Nick is so nice. He calls it bloating. I call it you're about to die. Okay. So Nick, yes, the leanest parts of your body are your ankles, hopefully.
Yeah.
And your wrist, right? So we all have a bone because you don't want to get rid of bone. That's called osteoporosis or osteopenia.
Sure.
We have a bone frame. Okay, so when you look at these ideal body charts, there's a small frame, medium frame, large frame. Now, we also have to equate for muscle mass, right? So you take the middle finger, you take the thumb, you wrap it right around. Now, you see I just touch. Classic medium frame. You're a classic medium frame. Now, some people, if they're not grossly overweight, they'll be here. Large frame. Lineman, big jacked guy that we all want to be. You corrected me. WWE, right? Wrestler or just somebody big.
Big construction worker, big guy who works on a farm,
somebody who overlaps small frame. That person that we would all love to be, again, skinny, lean, right? So we have a frame size, and that's going to be your bones. Then what goes past the bones is the muscle and a lot of fat, right? So when we look at these ideal body charts, and you can just search them up online, there's a range. And there's people much smarter than yourself and me, Nick, that have figured this stuff out, endocrinologists, scientists. So identify your body frame. And then there's a range. And
based on height?
Based on height. Yeah. Correct. The age thing is an excuse. Okay? Just because and be like, as you get older, you lose, you put on more weight as you get older. No, that's just because of metabolic derangement. That's not because of an age thing.
Right. You've given up. You stopped exercising. You stopped being active. You stopped worrying about what you eat all the time. And you just
got
Yeah.
Yes, Nick. So you were right. It's age, and there is a female chart and a male chart. Okay. So you go into there and you identify your body frame. Now, if you're really muscular, can you nudge, like I'm a medium frame. If I were to go in the medium frame, Nick, on the high end of the medium frame of the numbers that you'll see on the internet, that's kind of acceptable. I almost, me personally, because I've been working out for quite a while now, I almost have to go to the low range of large frame. I am not a large frame, but I do still at 52 years old, still hold a reasonable amount of muscle mass. So I'm okay with the low level of large frame, even though I'm not a large frame. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. But I would never go to the high end because that would just be my fucking ego getting in the way. Okay. But even if I was jacked up, my heart still doesn't care. Back to your original question. When whoever we believe in made us, they made us a certain frame and they gave us a heart to pump the blood around that X amount of weight.
Mm-hmm.
And when we go, now there's a down, and we'll do a different video on this or a different podcast on it. There's there's detrimental effects of going too low, anorexia, bulimic, and all these different, even Ozempic, sorry, okay? Most people aren't there, so we'll talk about going, when you go over that, and I don't care, but there's a reason why all these bodybuilders die at a very young age, Nick. Because they have very low percentage of body fat, which would throw this whole episode out the window. But they're still too fucking heavy, right? When God, I believe in God, I think you believe in God, right? When he built us, he said, you should be between, Mike Lynch, you should be between 160 and 180 max. If you go above that 180, Mike, you might look jacked up. It might make you feel more of a man. But you're going to have hypertension, maybe a stroke, maybe a heart attack, and your knees aren't going to like it, and your fucking ankles aren't going to like it, and your hips aren't going to like it. And I'm going to give you problems if you go over that. So it's about, Nick.
You can't run a tank on a motorcycle engine.
That's correct, Nick. Thank you. That's a great analogy, right? The benefits of having Nick on the show, because he just dumbs everything down for me, right? You cannot run for decades with this excess body weight, no matter what it is, Nick. If I put you on my shoulders for 10 years, Nick, and I was like, Nick, see in 10, I'm going to have problems.
Right.
I'm going to be still pulling.
But the public is not dealing with that. That is not the large issue. That's a smaller issue, right? People who have overworked out, people who have put on too much muscle mass. Mostly, the majority of people who are dealing with this problem, they're dealing with too much fat, visceral fat.
Right. Right. But to your point, though, Nick, yes, with having way too much body fat, there's a myriad of problems that you're opening yourself up to. Stroke, cancer, heart attack, keep on going.
Yeah.
Right? But let's go, oh, they're just fat shaming. No, because there's a problem with being, even if somebody went on steroids and put on 20, 30 pounds, I'm trying to show the audience that it's not about just fat shaming, it's about overweight shaming. If I put 20, 30 pounds on, Nick, and I went on steroids, let's say, and I get jacked, you're like, Lynch, you look jacked. Guess what? In a year from now, I'm going to start telling you, Nick, my knee is killing me. I need a hip surgery because my body doesn't care.
Yeah.
I'm going outside the norm of what I was built to carry.
Sure.
Fat is worse, but too much anything, like even if I put you on my shoulders, like I said before, eventually I'm going to have an orthopedic issue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And again, like you said, I want to reinforce, it's not about shaming people. It's about getting people to live their best life. It's about getting people to a place where they're not going to have cardiovascular issues, where they're not going to have orthopedic issues, where they are going to feel good when they move around, feel good when they go to the doctor and they get a clean bill of health. And the way you're going to do that is by losing all those extra pounds.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, Nick. Don't edit this out. I actually think I'm going to get some hate from this. I don't care, because we're here to save lives. There's some good in shaming people. I'm going to tell a quick story. Back in the day, I used to be jacked. I wanted to be big. That was the style back in the day. I had a landscape business. Steve, if you're watching this is about you. One person changed my life, Nick. Okay, I'll tell a quick story. I had a landscape business. My nickname, you know what my nickname used to be, Nick? Big Dog. Okay, I was a bouncer in the winter and had a landscape business. And I guess, growing up, I had dyslexia, I was learning disabled, I was riddled with insecurities. And back then, being big was the thing. So I got big, I was jacked, I used to leg press a leg press, Nick. There was no more room for weights. I used to put people on top of the weights, okay? On top of the machine. I would do all the weights, and then I would have 2 or 3 people sit, and I would go, like a fucking monkey, okay? Well, in my attempt to get big, I used to eat raviolis and put a whole pound of chopped meat. My mom used to go, oh my God, Michael, you're gonna have a heart attack. Well, I had a landscape business. I got sick one year. This guy, Henry Connolly, you may know these people, Steve Flanagan, Sean Sullivan, God rest his soul, they all ran my business for 2 weeks. I got pneumonia and I got sick. Okay? I got jacked, but I also got fat. I got real fat. I was up to 248. I was a monster. I mean, I was bouncing, Nick, and I would throw people like 2 guys out the door at the same time. I was like a machine. Okay? And that I was very proud about this. They run my business. They came to give me the cash for the day. I was still living at my mom's house. I was a young guy, and I had a garage and all my equipment was there. He rang the doorbell. I was sick. It was like 98 degrees, and my mom was like anti-AC back then. I had shorts on. Gonna get to a point here. And I go to the front door, and he's going to give me the cash that he collected for the day. And now this kid, Steve Flanagan, love you, Steve. You changed my life. He rang the doorbell to give me my money, and I came to the front door with just boxer shorts on with my shirt off, and he looked at me and he went, ugh. And I didn't know what the he was saying. And he goes, Lynch. Because I always, wore Michael, the name of the company was Michael D. Landscaping. I always just wore Michael D. Landscaping t-shirts. I look huge. He went, ugh, Lynch, you're fat. And Steven looks like the epitome of the fighting Irish guy, the little leprechaun guy, right? Badass, even tough dude, but it wasn't like I was getting girls back then or whatever. And he goes, Lynch. He goes, God, you're jacked, but you're fat, dude. He goes, when you're better, me and you got to hit the track, because we lived up the block from Holy Trinity High School and they had a track. Nick, I kind of laughed. I closed the door. Steve Flanagan me up. He shamed me. You had to see the look of disgust, because Mike Lynch, everybody knew me in the neighborhood of this big, tough guy that fucking beat up guys or whatever. And the gross look on his, I loved women. I wasn't attracted to Steve, but his look on his face.
Yeah, but he's a peer you respected.
But the way he looked at me shamed me. I felt shameful. And at that moment, and my doctor I had blood work, wasn't that great, Nick, a couple of months beforehand, but I blew off the doctor.
Yeah.
I went on a diet after that. And that was the first time, 6 months later, I had gotten shredded. And I did it totally wrong back then, because this is, 19, I graduated in 19, so this is like in 1995. So I did the diet all wrong and everything. But that shame, I don't know where I would be, Nick, if Steve Flanagan didn't look at me. If I didn't go to the front door that day and get shamed by him, I don't know where I would have been. Because there was some sort of thing on his face that really kind of knocked on my insecurities, on the door of my insecurities, and I changed. So when you say we don't want to fat shame anybody, yeah, you don't want to beat up on anybody and make anybody feel hard about themselves, but coddling them too is not good. So I think a little shame actually can save someone's life sometimes. Because we can give them the science and talk about insulin resistance and brown fat and visceral fat and all this. But they say, yeah. But if you knock on the door of somebody's insecurities and say, you're disgusting. And, oh, by the way, you're killing yourself.
Well, this is a similar story. Remember, we talked with our guest Felice, and she said that she was at work, and someone was like, a couple people were saying, you look good, you look bad, whatever it was. But someone said, hey, we're all going to do The Biggest Loser. Do you want to join? And she was like, you killed me. And that was it. And it turned her around. And that was a little bit of shame. So, in a way, you're right, but there is a fine line because you don't want to cause someone to get defensive. You don't want to just get someone angry with you. And it probably has to come from someone you know. It's not like some fat shaming online. If you just get called like some kind of terrible name because you post a picture online, that's not going to nudge you to be a better person, right?
I agree.
But there probably is a way to do it with respect and love. to someone that could hopefully push them, to that place where they do turn things around and they change it. And you never know with people what it's going to take to turn things around. And for you, it was that. And for our guest, it was being part of The Biggest Loser, which is tough.
Yeah, I think in that we did a trailer and she goes, "Oh, everything's gonna change."
Yeah, exactly,
Right?
exactly. And again, we keep coming back to this, but every 5 or 10 pounds that you are overweight, you're increasing your chance of getting diabetes by 80 to 100%. So, I mean, you really don't want to play these games. We all know in life there are things that are going to come at you, health care issues that are going to come at you that are unavoidable, that you can do nothing about, and you're going to have to deal with those. So why invite other healthcare issues into your life on top of the ones that you have no control over? These are issues that you do have control over. You can change it.
We're not saying that you shouldn't live your life and have the booze and have the cake, but you got to earn it, and it's got to be in small. You got to go into that box and then come back out. And 95% of the time, it should be exercise and whole healthy foods to make sure that, like you said, you're not adding problems, because life is going to give you problems that you're going to have to struggle with.
Yeah.
And, it's crazy, Nick, what you just said something. And it's, if we did this podcast 15 years ago, I'd be like, oh, yeah, 10 fucking pounds, Nick. 10 pounds is nothing anymore.
I know.
But to your point, it is deadly. So back in our day, if somebody was 10 pounds overweight, we're like, oh, but now 10 pounds is like, I'm just 10 pounds. They look good 10 pounds overweight, because people are 80, 100, 150 pounds overweight, and just 10 pounds of the adiposity, extra body fat. I mean, the cancers that they're now finding, because Nick, we know we're old, right? Back in our day, fat was heart attack, stroke, right? Heart attack, stroke. But now we know that lots of cancer cells have insulin receptor sites on them. And being overweight by 10 pounds opens you to breast cancer, urethral cancer, and one of the biggest killers, colon cancer.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with that.
And colon cancer is a motherfucker, because unless you're getting regular colonoscopies, which most people aren't, it's not a problem until it's a problem, Nick.
Yeah. Besides all of that, people who are overweight are also dealing with sleep issues. 70% of people who are overweight deal with sleep apnea. And we all know that if you're not getting restful sleep, that also adds to other health issues. And we've done episodes about sleep and probably will do more in the future. But we all know how you feel when you wake up and you've been up all night. You feel like garbage. You're just not going to be a nice person to your family. You're not going to have a great day. You're not going to be energized. And if you have that extra body weight on and you're having unrestful sleep because of it, that could be a reason right there to think about losing it, because you'll get a better night's sleep.
And a lot of times people don't realize that they're getting such a bad night's sleep. They just think that they're tired, they're getting older, because it's so broken. Right? That's a bad barometer for them to actually say, oh, my sleep's being affected by being overweight. They don't usually, and that's a great point that you brought up, they don't put the two together.
No.
They just say, oh, as I got older, I became a shit sleeper.
Right. But what, because you put on 50 pounds.
Right. I just, as you were saying that, I thought about it. Like for you, you're a skateboarder, right? If anybody doesn't know, Nick's a skateboarder, so was I, but I gave it up. Nick kept it going. Nick, like, if you put 5 or 10 pounds, because now you're lean and mean, right? If you put a 5 or 10 pounds, you say, 5 pounds. What's think about a 5-pound dumbbell. It's nothing. 5, 10 pounds. It's got to affect your skateboard game, right?
100%. 100%. In fact, when I did intermittent fasting a few years back, I lost about 15 pounds, and it was so noticeable. My level of enjoyment increased by 3,000% because I just felt like I could jump more, I could move more, I could get off the ground and do things. Honestly, I landed a few tricks that I hadn't landed in like 15 years, only because I lost that little bit of weight. And that was a big motivating factor for me. So people need to find that motivating factor for them, because it's not always going to be skateboarding, obviously, but there is something. For everybody out there, there is something that they can find that they love to do that they're going to be better at if they lose 10, 15, 20 pounds. And I challenge people to find that thing that will motivate you to lose that weight, because that is really going to help you. Sometimes, you want to do it to be healthy for your family, but find something for yourself that you will enjoy more, that you will get more enjoyment out of by slimming down. And I think it'll be really beneficial to people.
Right. And we will say this in almost every podcast we do, but for every pound that you put on, you're getting closer to that Grim Reaper, Nick. And what is the biggest Grim Reaper? The biggest Grim Reaper that is going to come and get us all? A fucking heart attack.
A heart attack.
For every pound, because we can kid here and talk about skateboarding, but for every pound that you put on above your ideal, on top end of your ideal body weight, you are getting closer to the number one killer on this planet, and that is a heart attack. Each pound, you're getting closer and closer and closer.
But I also want to mention this, and this is, I know we're getting near the end. We've been talking about this for a while. The health benefits do not start when you reach your ideal weight. They start immediately. Immediately. All you have to do is lose 5 pounds, and those health benefits are going to start, and they will keep going. And I want people to remember that. It's not just about the finish line. It's about getting there. And as you get towards that finish line, as you work towards getting to your ideal weight, you are getting healthier each step along the way. It's a binary thing where it's only when you get to the ideal weight, you're healthier. It's going to start in a week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. You are going to feel better, look better, and your doctor is going to give you a better bill of health immediately if you can stick with it. If you can start losing 1.5 pounds a week over the course of a month, 2 months, 3 months, it's going to be big for you in so many different ways.
And this is why Nick runs the whole podcast and lays this all out, because that was the best thing that you said through this whole thing. Now, I will say this, Nick. Now, maybe I always had this issue, but in the last couple of years, my wife bought a blood pressure medicine. Every time I went to the only time I knew my blood pressure, Nick, to your point, it was a great point. I only knew my blood pressure once a year when I went to the doctor. It was always good, so I never paid attention to it. My wife got a blood pressure machine from CVS. Everybody should get one. About 3 years ago. Every once in a while, I check this blood pressure, Nick. For whatever reason, I've always been a salt guy. R.I.P. Dad. My dad was a big salt guy. Okay, my mom used to take the salt shaker away from him all the time. Literally, Nick. Now, my blood pressure is not high. It's usually about 120, 122 over 70. If I don't forget about the foods I eat, if I don't add salt to my food, extra salt, because there'll be sodium in salsa and chicken, there's sodium in everything. To your point, if I add no salt, my blood pressure will go from 120, 122 over 70, 2 days, no extra salt, 110 over 60. That's like a doctor's dream. That's like beautiful blood pressure. 2 days. No change in exercise, no change in sleep, no change in diet, just a reduction of extra salt to the food. So it goes to show you, like what you said, that like you look and you say, oh, I got 80 pounds to lose, 100 pounds to lose. Literally within 2 days, my blood pressure could come down to a point where I'm taking a mild blood pressure medication. And that is the best thing that you said, Nick, because it's very motivating to people. Literally within 24 hours to 48 hours, you can start to take yourself from hypertensive to normal.
Yep.
Lower cholesterol, lower body fat.
Yep.
Extra pressure off your hips, knees, feet. Maybe your erection's a little harder. Maybe your emotional fortitude is a little sharper. Your confidence higher.
And I want people to also realize that we're not saying to crash diet.
No.
We're not saying to radically change your diet in a way that is unsustainable, because that's never going to work, right? No one ever stays on those crazy diets where they totally restrict everything and they're living a life that's unsustainable. What we're saying is you can achieve all these things with a little bit of exercise each week, right? With a little bit of, paying more attention to the processed carbohydrates that you're bringing into your life. I'm not saying take them all out, but you shouldn't be having them all the time. And you should be pairing them with exercise. Like we always say, earn your carbs, right? Earn your carbs.
If you're going to eat a processed carbohydrate, Nick, what do they need to do beforehand? Go out and move their ass, right?
That's right. That's right. And every week, right? And that's what it is. And so every week, if you're going to look forward to that Friday, that Saturday of like the cheat days, right? You've seen our cheat day episode. Mike's got an amazing cheat day, but you don't think Mike works hard all week for that cheat day? He does.
It's a lot of work working for Nick. He's like, you have no idea what goes on after the podcast. He makes me shampoo the rugs, I have to polish everything. He's like, Mike, everything needs to be perfect. So I'm like, I'm so depleted by the time I get to my carb day, Nick. It's like,
I only have one speed. You know that.
I know. Nick's great, but it's a little hard to work for. I love you, but you're like a slave driver. It's crazy.
It's the only thing he responds to. That's all I have. My call to action this week to people is think about what your ideal body weight is and make a plan to get there. Maybe you're already there. And you know what? Good for you. Drop a comment in the video and let us know that you worked hard, you're there, and you got nothing to prove, you got nothing to change.
Give us some pearls of wisdom,
yeah,
right?
I'd love to hear how you did it. But for those people who aren't at their ideal body weight, make a plan. Think about it. How can you start to incorporate a little bit of cardio into your week, a little bit of strength training into your week? What's one thing you can take out of your diet moving forward that's going to get you to this ideal body weight? Not everything. Don't radically change everything. Next week, take one thing out. Don't eat ice cream 7 days a week. If that's what you're doing, that's an easy pull.
Because you know what? When they take the one thing out, Nick, and they feel a little better and the blood pressure goes down, what happens after that?
Their vitals are going to get better. They're going to feel better. Whatever that thing is that they find that they want to be a little lighter for, they're going to feel like more energized to do it. So I don't think it's that hard to take one thing out of your diet and to make a long-term plan on how you're going to get to your ideal body weight. I think people could do it.
Absolutely. Listen to Nick. Nick always has great pearls of wisdom. If it's dead weight, it's dead weight. And dead weight is going to only contribute to you dying dead faster. So if it shakes, if it jiggles, get it off. And it's not about vanity. It's not about, a photo on the beach, right, Nick?
Mm-hmm.
It's about life or death. Body fat is dead weight and it's killing you. It's killing you emotionally. We're going to do that next, right, Nick? But it's killing you physically. It's making you diabetic. It's making you hypertensive. It's raising your cholesterol. And it's lowering your life expectancy. And we don't want that for you. Nick loves you. I love you. We want you to be your best. And anybody told you that big is beautiful, lied. It's deadly. It's not about shaming you. It's about making everybody get to 100, right, Nick?
Yeah.
I think we shoot for, Nick said 101, right? It was one of our videos,
I'm going
right?
for 101. I'm going for 101. It's going to be great.
Brother.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us on this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed talking to Mike about this issue and all these topics. It's important. We want you to feel good, to look good, and to get great results when you go to your healthcare professionals. If you like this content, if you like this video, please comment on the video, like it, share it with some friends. Let someone else know that you learned something today on this podcast and have them check it out as well. I appreciate your time you spent with us. And Mike, I'll give you the last word.
Thank you, Nick. Abs are great. They look great. They feel great. They're great for your self-esteem. But nothing feels better than energy and living a long, healthy life.
Cheers to that.
One of the things we can do to stack the cards in our favor is to be healthy, be lean, be at an ideal body fat, ideal weight, and live healthily, eating real food and exercise most days of the week. And that's all we can do, right, Nick?
That's right. That's right.
So thank you for joining us. We love you.
Thank you, everybody.
We'll see you when you see you. Please hit the like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any content in the future.